Hi guys, my name is Kaitlin M and I'm a junior here at the College of Mount St. Vincent. Currently I'm studying abroad in Thessaloniki, Greece at Pedotis College of the American Farm School. I wanted to influence this community night because there are a lot of issues here that are affecting all of the EU and can potentially come to the States. To start off, I know most of us are well aware of the refugee crisis in Syria. The refugee crisis started from climate change. There was a drought that came over Syria and pushed all of the farmers and the small town citizens into the city. This boosted the city's population by 50% within the first year. All of the citizens in the city began to protest and argue with Syria's leader, Bashar al-Assad. Not wanting to step down from power, the Syrian government began to take charge of the situation. This occurred in 2010 and 2011. Syrian refugees have unwillingly fled their homes, not only because ISIS is taken to the ground, but rebel brigades were formed to battle the government over control of the cities, and Russia has taken over the air with airstrikes in order to rid the ground of ISIS in fear that it might reach Russia. Other weapons included in the war so far include mass killings, executions, amputations, beheadings, holding people hostage, rapes, torture, and civilian suffering like withholding food, water, shelter, and health services. A barrel bomb is one of the new, most effective ways to completely wipe out a town. Due to a lack of sufficient news coverage in the US, we don't necessarily see everything that's going on. We don't exactly tend to put feelings with faces because we don't necessarily see these people as real human beings. We see these people more as a problem that we don't want to or don't have to deal with, but still kind of have to care about because it's an international crisis. Here in Greece and the EU, we have that opportunity to put feelings to faces. We see these real human beings struggling. They're no different from you and me. They're college students, women, men, teenagers, a lot of toddlers, and a lot of babies who are struggling to survive with no clothes, food, or shelter. Due to the overload from the 4.1 million Syrian refugees and the countless more that have decided to follow them, the surrendering countries around Syria and all over the EU have set up camps to help supply these people with necessities to live. People are starving to death, dying of diseases from overpopulation, and withering away. But Greece, and specifically, since the economy here is in a severe crisis as well, and with the large amounts of monetary need from not only the government, but everyone here, they don't have the sufficient funds for these camps and for these people to survive. Hence, why the camps here, especially in Greece, are not in good shape. Because of the overpopulated rush of people fleeing Syria and entering Greece and other places within the EU, there are a lot of volunteer opportunities, especially in Greece, for people to help. Personally, I've begun to volunteer with a brand new church that was made into a center for the refugees. The center almost very closely represents a soup kitchen, but also includes showers and clothing stations and special services, especially like dental help and prayer services. And our main mission is to help teach English to anyone who wants to learn. Most of the refugees here from Syria want to learn English, not only because it's the most widely understood language across the world, but because they now, with the knowledge of English, even the slightest bit, will help them get out of Greece or wherever they're stuck and help them along their journey to find their own home. Unfortunately, unlike here in New York and across the US, volunteering, especially in Greece, is almost a taboo. The volunteering concept is not widely accepted. Not many people volunteer or want to help, specifically because the crisis here in Greece with the financial and the money issues have caused people to really withdraw themselves and want to make sure that their own situations are helped and supported before they go out and worry about someone else's, especially people who are not from their country. And I feel like that's all over the world. Most of us don't understand how large this crisis is, especially I had no idea that the refugee crisis and the numbers were as large as they are, and such a big influence on, European life and the everyday struggles here, especially in Greece. Okay, so more than 11 million people were killed or forced to leave. 6.6 million people are internally displaced in Syria. In 2012, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees stated that there were 100,000 refugees. By April of 2013, there were 800,000, which then doubled to 1.6 million in less than 4 months. More than half of Syrian refugees are under the age of 18. Lebanon holds 1.5 million refugees, which means 1 in 4 people are Syrian refugee. Jordan holds 650,000 refugees, which means for them, 1 in 3 people are a Syrian refugee. Turkey holds 2.7 million refugees. Greece and Iraq each hold 250,000. Egypt houses 120,000, while Sweden has taken in 80,000. Australia has taken 4,400. The US has only taken 1,500 people, but claim that we'll take more. Great Britain will take 20,000 by 2020. And France will take 24,000 people, but have yet to take anyone. And I think the most frustrating of all is that Hungary, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, and Bahrain, 7 countries, are not accepting refugees since these countries are not signatory of the United Nations Refugee Convention. They only provide minimum financial aid. I know this information is overwhelming, and what's happening is not covered in our news very well. The situation here is real and affects everyone. Whether we want it to or not. These people are real and genuine, have real feelings just like you and me. But it's hard to see these people who look like us, who speak languages of their own and are educated and have families of their own, suffer. And you could see the sadness in their eyes. These people, there's children not even 5 years old who come into the shelter who look dirty. They haven't showered in over a month. They're wearing the same clothes for weeks on end. And they've barely eaten more than a slice of bread in the last week. But they're just happy to sit and color and be back in an education system. Talking to a lot of these children, the most important thing they want, and the only thing they want, is to be back in an education type classroom, to be learning something. They all want to learn English. Although this crisis hasn't reached the States, that doesn't mean we can't be proactive about it. This situation will reach our borders. It will invade our news and it'll take over our lives. But that's not in the way it's being portrayed here in Greece. In the States, people will call them terrorists and job-stealing criminals. Yet, these people could have been you and me. They could have been our moms, our dads, our siblings. We need to care about the crisis because it doesn't start with you. Who is it going to start with? So I want to end with a poem from a service article I had to read. The passage is from The Moon is Always Female, written by Marge Piercy, and the passage is called The Low Road. Okay, so I'm going to start. What can they do to you? Whatever they want. They can set you up, they can bust you, they can break your fingers, they can burn your brain with electricity, blur you with drugs till you can't walk, can't remember. They can take your child, wall up your lover. They can do anything you can't stop them from doing. How can you stop them? Alone, you can fight. You can refuse, and you can take what revenge you can, but they roll over you. But two people fighting, back to back, can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. Two people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, and sex. Three people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With four, you can play bridge and start an organization. With six, you can rent a whole house, eat a pie for dinner with no seconds, and hold a fundraising party. A dozen make a demonstration. 100 fill a hall. 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter. 10,000 power and your own paper. 100,000 your own media. 10 million your own country. It goes one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again after they said no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean, and each day you mean one more. I hope you guys take into account everything that was thrown at you. It's a real issue, and I hope you guys feel the need to look further into it and somehow find a way to make it a conscious effort and bring it home. Bye guys. I'll see you in January.